Kia ora, welcome back to the Whāku.
Season 1 review.
Whoop, whoop. Choo. This time we are jumping into Season 1, Episode 10 with Stephen New. In his episode, Stephen talks to us about what it's like to be a migrant in Aotearoa, his journey as a Chinese human, and what it's like to be an international student and within the gay community here in Kirikiriroa.
Yes, we are so thankful to Stephen and his heart to actually share his lived experiences with us. Stephen helped us to understand an experience that is actually in our whāku in this first year.
Yeah, for sure.
You feel like all the pros and cons are related to you, but you just can't really see which one is better. They're all kind of like equal in front of you.
Stephen also invites us to reflect on how we hold people who do not showcase our values for various reasons in this next gem.
Right.
Part of that is lack of confidence, of lack of like understanding of the culture. Because back into China, like we can see, we can feel when we treat different. But when we come to a new environment, even people like saying different things, saying some things that's really inappropriate, we couldn't really feel or couldn't really understand.
Lastly, Stephen invites us to reflect on the milestones that created small steps towards stepping into your full-blown pūmanawa in this jam.
I didn't realize how important it was or how brave I was. But throughout the years after I graduated from uni, slowly realized how courageous I was.
Vibes on vibes on vibes.
Roy,
Roy, what does that bring up for you, Malu?
somewhat like what happens when you don't know. Like, so I feel like for me it helps me reflect on what I actually do when I don't know. And now I can confidently say I surrender. So no buts. And a previous lifetime I would have definitely forced my way in and forced my old views on something that I have no idea about. Something I have no idea about. And I'm like, okay, I forgive myself for that. I don't shame myself. I'm not guilty for that. And if that comes back to me, it's meant to come back to me so that I can learn from it. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to spend a lifetime trying to fix something that didn't happen.
What do you mean by force your way in? Like force your values on people, or like physically into an environment where maybe you weren't feeling comfortable in yourself first? Like Stephen talks about like he didn't realize quite how courageous he was until after he had done the thing. So when you talk about forcing yourself into something, are you talking about placing yourself in situations where you don't feel comfortable, or environments where you maybe it's a stretch for you to feel comfortable in that space?
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, and in a way you can see it from that perspective. I feel like for me it's more so like if I take accountability for my actions, my perspective on forcing is not surrendering to the unknown. So anything that's not surrendering to the unknown at that moment is a force for me. So the force so that's one variation, that's one nuance of a force, putting myself in the environment. And I feel like everything that, like if I'm meeting ignorance, I know now to surrender fully.
Yeah.
To ignorance.
Rather than trying to pick out the certainty.
Yeah, from historical things that don't meet the new moment.
Oh, okay. So, no, carry on.
Yeah, so I feel like for me, every moment is a new moment. So why would we bring anything else into this moment?
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like for me, that's the part that I get. I feel like I'm finding it hard to articulate, and I'm finding the new words to articulate, and I'm finding the grace to articulate, because the people that are surrounding me don't understand that I've shifted to that space of being like, why are we still talking about that? And because the choices that I make is I'm making a choice not to live in the past. And the people around, like the people that are still catching up to themselves are in that. So I guess that's why, that's where I'm coming from. What about you?
That's beautiful. I can really resonate with that because I've been having conversations with someone lately about like something that they want to do, and they've asked for my opinion about it, and I said, well, all of my evidence shows that that would not be a good thing to do because the evidence of my life has said that people who I interact with that are like that, I've only ever had bad experiences.
Mm.
And then they came back and they were like, well, this is my experience with this kind of that person. So like, like this kind of person in the world. This is my experience here and here and here. And this is different. This is my evidence. And I was like, cool, that's great. This is my evidence.
Mm.
But that's that living in the past, right? Whereas if we go into every situation as a new situation, yesterday I interacted with someone who was that kind of person and had a great experience.
Mm. And
interesting.
So to me, I feel like everything is new. Even if we are really, really familiar with each other's traits and with each other's perspectives and each other's way of articulating. And to me, I accept that. It's not a removal of that. It's accepting that and also allowing new to come through.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. That was beautiful. That's actually like a light bulb moment for me right now.
Really?
Yeah.
In what way?
Because I was saying to this person, I was like, well, this is all my evidence. Why would I do something when all the evidence in my life has shown me that like what the outcome's going to look like?
And see, that's the narrative building. So to me, I'm like this. Yeah. That's why, and like for me, I've recognized within myself that people's choices and the way that they articulate themselves are choices from their narratives that they've built in the historical evidence. So every conversation that they bring up, I'm like, why did you ask that? Why did you claim that?
Yeah.
Why did you and I found that people are uncomfortable because they're like, well, don't you get it? And I'm like, no, I don't, because I'm surrendering to the moment.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I can see though, like, for me.
Go there. Go.
For me, this has been something that I've done to keep myself safe. Yeah.
100%. And it's just like, I found that was such a safety measure for me. And it doesn't serve my new thinking. For me. I will not perpetuate that on somebody else.
For sure, 100%. We know this.
You are though, like I'm with this. If this whakaaro doesn't resonate with you, it's not meant to. Like you will come into your own with this.
Take what resonates, leave the rest.
Yes, and there's also. So what else is this bringing for you?
The like confidence piece. Like I didn't realize how important it was or how brave I was, but through the years after uni, I slowly realized how courageous I was. For me, that brought up I mean, a little bit of a down buzz, but like the end of my first relationship.
Wow.
Because that was like 4 years through a similar time of uni. And like the first 2 years were great. The third year was like, okay. The last year was just like, we should have broken up ages ago. But the courage, I didn't realize until after how courageous I was in that moment to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. But it took, over a year to find the words to say, hey, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore because I just don't. And at the time I was like, what the hell am I doing? But afterwards, like within a couple of weeks, I was like, wow, like how courageous of myself to do that. Looking back now, I can think that, yeah. And like me and that person, we're still really good friends. And I think because it was open communication after the breakup. And if you're listening, hey, probably not, but it's all good. Yeah, and we're still friends and we like hang out every now and then and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I was really proud of myself for that courage because that was my first relationship and I'd never experienced anything like that before. So yeah, that's what it brought up for me.
Delicious.
Yeah.
And there's so much more gems that's actually impacted in this this episode. So if you want to go and check that out, please do. And remember, it's an invitation for a conversation. So use Stephen's whakaaro as little prompts to being like, okay, well, what did he mean by that? Like, how does that shape or reshape or repurpose my worldview? So to me, with the FAQ podcast, it's always an invitation for a conversation. It's never calling out. It's definitely calling in.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Kakite. Oh my god.
I surprised myself. I was like, oh, we went too hard. And I'm like, gotta commit till the end.